So I came to the realization yesterday that the cancer journey for my son um, will never be over. I think that it's one of those things where, even though he was put in remission in May, and we go back for routine checkups and scans and the blood work and all the things that we need to, there's so much trauma and anxiety that goes along with it that nobody talks about. And I experienced this yesterday when we went to the doctor. We went to the regular oncologist. So 2 weeks ago, we went to the BMT group, blood marrow transplant group in Atlanta, and had his scans done, which is what we do every 6 months. And then we go for regular blood work to the regular oncologist every 8 weeks. So we went to the regular oncologist yesterday, and she said the blood work looks great. Whatever. So we walked out, and she wanted to pull up the results from the scans from 2 weeks ago because they access the same system. So we go out, and she's reading it. She's like, "Oh, it looks short. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good." And then she's like, "Well, there was a 3 millimeter lymph node that was enlarged, but it didn't light up on the scan. So that's good. If it lights up, it means it's cancer." So something to celebrate. That's great news. Besides, the blood work looked great. That's the biggest indicator. So victories, right? Okay, well, you would think so. However, I had the worst day yesterday. Just reliving everything. Those of you that don't know, my 21-year-old son, who is autistic, was diagnosed with testicular cancer in July 2022. Sweetest kid you'll ever meet. And it's been the hardest thing I've ever had to go through in my life. Watching my son go through this and to suffer and is just something I don't wish on anyone. I would have taken his place in a heartbeat. So going through all this, we've been going through it. So he went through his regular like process of testicular cancer, and he had his testicle removed. He went through the 4 rounds of chemo, and he had to do a Replen surgery to get rid of the lymph nodes. And then he had one clear scan, and that was good. And then the next time it showed up in his blood work, and it had come back. So then we had to go through this extensive treatment, which was a tandem stem cell transplant. I had to go through the harvesting of stem cells and all this stuff. So that's just the short and skinny on it. So we've been going through it for quite some time. And so this time last year, we were making our way back home because we had to move to Atlanta while he went through this treatment. So me and Jaden were away from my other son during this time period so I could care for him. So everybody went through it. We went through it together, and it was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to go through. No, the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. However, everything's fine. Okay, the doctor yesterday was talking about how there's that little 3 millimeter enlarged lymph node, and it could be something as far as like scar tissue from what used to be cancer, where the chemo treated it. It's just the fact that you're having to relive this trauma all over again and go through something so traumatic. I guess I was living in such a high place because we're in remission and in May, and it's kind of like, okay, I can live life again. Everything's good. And we go back for regular blood work. Everything's looked good. Nobody said anything. And then this is the first thing. And it's not even that it's negative, because it's not negative. Everything is positive. the blood work is what would indicate anything, anyways. However, it's that fear, the fear that took over me. And I felt crazy. I mean, I felt like I should be celebrating, right? I should be, you know, feeling good about everything. And it's not that I don't. It's just, it took me back to the past, which is where I don't live anymore. And that's where fear is based with evil and the devil and all that. So I don't go backwards. So, but it was something that I had to walk through yesterday in dealing with the trauma of what once was. So I don't know how to shake it. All I can do is pray about it. But the fear did consume me. I'm human. I mean, I can pray about everything, and I do. But the fear as a human consumed me yesterday. And immediately takes me back to where I was a year ago or 2 years ago. And I felt so sad for that woman dealing with all of this on her shoulders herself from a year ago and 2 years ago. And it rocked my soul. I mean, it shook me so hard to the point where I've had a hard time shaking it. But I had to realize that this is what we have to look forward to. I guess that's a wrong way to put it, but I have to come to the realization that the journey will never be over. That it's just embracing what's next. And my son's cured. I know that. My son's fine. I know that. But I lived in fear yesterday. And I don't want to do that. I want to move forward. I want to celebrate these victories because there's been a lot. There has been more victories than anything. And I think that it's one of those things where I just took on so much for my son as far as being there and trying to sugarcoat things so that things didn't seem so bad. And so I shoved inside so much pain. And I was going on more than anybody knows on a personal level. And I felt like I've never fought so hard in my life. So having to think about where I was then is painful. And I don't want to go back there. And I think that that's where I was yesterday when you're thinking about what you went through before. And all I can do is pray through it and know that my son is healthy and he's happy and he's the sweetest thing ever. Both my boys are, but I just have to heal from this. I think it's going to take some time, but luckily my faith gets me through everything. And I'm so grateful for the woman I am today and what I've went through and what I've made it through. So hopefully I can help somebody else. That's what this is all about. So just got to give it to God.